What's up, my friends? Hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good week as always. I want to talk about a few stories. First, I want to fix this little ratchet right here. I need to get that out of the way, but apologies for that. I want to talk about a few stories today. First story we're going to talk about is the COVID-19 situation. It's building back up again, but what the media isn't saying, I shared it earlier today, but the death count on Sunday was extremely low, lower than it's been in a long time. And the deaths have been going down pretty consistently over the last couple weeks. So, of course, the media doesn't talk about that. We're going to get into that a little bit. Second thing I want to talk about is the new Gilead drug, or the drug that they've been touting in the media. Remdesivir has a plan. We're going to talk about the plan, how much it cost, and why the media might possibly be pushing this drug instead of hydroxychloroquine and other drugs. Once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Listen to the experts, but let's just use our common sense for a second and bring it back to reality. Third thing I'm going to talk about today is the John Wayne Airport is under threat of being renamed. I have a very interesting question to ask about that, and I think it's very fair. I also want to talk about the St. Louis couple that went viral. You had a woman and her husband who stood up to protesters who allegedly were on private property and getting a little feisty. They protected their house, and interesting that one side of the debate saw it as something horrible, the other side saw it as heroic. We're going to talk about that divide in the country. And the last thing I want to talk about is the future of progressivism, and I really wanted to weigh in on that, mentioning an old Joe Rogan podcast where he has this guy, Brett Weinstein, progressive professor or ex-professor, and listening to that, it really put things into perspective of what I've already known and where this country's going at this rate with this woke culture where you're pushing further and further and further to justify whatever they're doing. Got some really interesting stuff to talk about that. Thank you guys for being here. Just wanted to let you know if my internet's a little fuzzy today. I just moved, so I no longer am in where I used to be. I got a new place. I'm setting up a whole internal studio at my new apartment. So I'm excited. I'm getting high-speed internet tomorrow. So if the internet is not good today, it's because I don't have Wi-Fi. Tomorrow I should have rapid-speed Wi-Fi. I'm very excited. I'm out of Los Angeles, and I couldn't be happier. At this point, not really pumped about where the city's going. It's been getting trashed for years, trash, tents, just grime everywhere. It's been growing. Businesses getting shut down. Then you had the COVID, and then you had the spoiled brats just marching in the streets and shutting down more businesses. It's unlivable, and I'm out. I'm pretty pumped about it. So I got a new place, new space, setting up. Pretty excited. Nancy said, how do we stop the madness? We're going to get into it, Nancy. Hold on. I got to move. I got a yoga mat. I'm not trying to age myself here with my hipsterness, but I got a little yoga mat. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got an air purifier. I got some tables coming. Pretty excited. Tracy said, what's going on with America? We're going to talk about it, Tracy. Caleb said, I pray for my children. We'll say a prayer. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. Thank you, Margie. I appreciate it. I'm pumped. Melissa's talking about the meds. Not quite that high from what I've read, but it is pretty high. We're going to talk about it. What's up, Chrissy? All right, let's get into it. First off, I'm going to just post this real quick. Bang. This is my free email list. I won't pin it to the top because I want to see what you guys have to say. But if you haven't yet, sign up to my free email list, stayintouchwithme.com. I'm ready. I got a little notepad here. I want to start off by saying, before we get into all the stories, the media, if people don't understand what they do, they're constantly going to be deceived. The media doesn't simply report the news. They're like a fear magnet. It's like a fear levy. They pump out the fear like it's oil, and as soon as there's no fear left, they move on to the next topic. So they were talking about the scary death count because if we're going to be honest, when it comes to infection and death, the more important number is not the number of cases, it is the number of death, because we don't want people to die. So it was all about the death rate until the death rate started declining, and it's been steadily declining. Sunday was one of the better days we've had in a while. If you compare the amount of deaths that happened in COVID on Sunday to a lot of other things going on in this country, heart disease, this, that, It's very minuscule numbers, but they don't hone in on that. So now they're saying cases, oh my God, there's cases. It's just disgusting to see that, we could have something to be happy about, which is declining death rate, but this is how they operate. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, North Korea, there's always a new story to be fearful about. And as soon as you solve the other problem, you solve ISIS, you solve the North Korea problem, they never celebrate, they never tell you hooray. They're fear mongers, they're fear pumpers. They're disgusting. People really need to figure this out. I don't understand how people don't get what the media does. So with COVID, the silver lining is the death rate is lower, but they won't talk about it because they never will. All they do is fear. All they do is just deceive and scare and lower your immune system and then act like they're helping your health. And you got McDonald's doing all these sort of woke ads with the LGBTQ community. It's like, you want to be woke? Why don't you start serving more salad and less hamburgers that are like genetically modified or something? I mean, I don't know that they are for sure, but when you eat a McDonald's hamburger and you cook your own burger, they don't taste the same. It's good. McDonald's tastes good, don't get me wrong, but you get what I'm saying? It's like, who cares? Oh, I'm so woke. It's like, just stop serving disgusting food as hundreds of thousands of people are dying from heart disease, but whatever. Don't get me started. So on that note, with COVID-19, Gilead came out with their remdesivir plan today. And of course, when Gilead comes out with that, Twitter features it. All the social media is in cahoots with these people. Every time it's an anti-story, negative, until it's one of their buddies in the pharma industry. And then it's all like, look, we're going to save the day. We have the cure. So Gilead is coming out with a remdesivir plan. And their 5-day course is going to cost private insurers, according to Twitter, $3,120 for a 5-day course for private insurers. They said developed countries such as the United States would have cost about $2,310 from what I've read, or $2,340. I can't read my handwriting. In that range, so a couple $1,000s for a 5-day remdesivir trial. Hopefully it works really well. But now, I'm not going to say this for sure. Talk to your doctor. Listen to the experts that are so politically unhinged that they can't even tell the truth if it bit them in the face. Listen to the experts and the doctors. But all I'm saying is, Trump came out and he, was promoting hydroxychloroquine. He said he liked it, and the media hated it. Fauci didn't like it. They all shut it down. Lancet got caught having to retract a study because they ended up giving false data in their study. The, prestigious Lancet can't even tell the truth when it comes to hydroxychloroquine. And how much does hydroxychloroquine cost? How much does Gilead cost? Is there financial incentive in this country? I mean, we talk about it with the military-industrial complex. We talk about greedy corporations. We talk about greedy politicians who are sold out this way and that way. Is it possible, I'm just going to put it in a question form, is it possible that a lot of these people that are pulling the strings don't want a certain medicine to thrive, not because it's not better, not because it's not good for you, not because it's not tested already and we know the side effects because it's been tested for 50 years, but because it's cheaper to make and it's cheaper to sell, whereas if you could find one that you could sell for thousands of dollars, they might have a financial incentive, just like when you have the same people working on the shot or the injection that they're going to give you, the same people that are studying this stuff or funding that stuff they're now funding the tests into other medicines. And, it's just so obvious to me. I'm just going to ask the question, but now that they're getting promoted in mass media and theirs costs thousands of dollars, I'm just going to ask you, is it possible that the media has financial incentive with, big pharmacy? I mean, you could figure it out yourself or ask questions, but don't ask too many questions, because if you do, you might get kicked off Twitch like President Trump did recently, and Reddit. Reddit has now banned the Donald after quarantining it before quarantines. It's just nonstop sabotage from these people. They can't accept any sort of discussion. They think that their wickedness is somehow compassion, and anybody that tells you the honest, blunt truth, they all of a sudden say is hate speech. Everything's hate speech to them. It's racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, anything under the sun that isn't exactly what they say. They're, bland form of like progressive socialism, which is just bottom of the barrel, like bending over backwards, not telling the truth, judging people by their skin color instead of the content of their character, watering down every company in this country to suit the needs of the most spoiled common denominator, as opposed to just hiring the best people. These people are just predictable, and we're going to talk about it at the end. Second story I want to talk about is the John Wayne Airport. I believe it's in Orange County. They're talking about the Democrats, of course. They're talking about renaming the John Wayne Airport. And I have a simple question, and this basic little nugget of logic destroys their whole concept of whatever they're trying to do, although nothing they do is really based on common sense or logic. It's all emotional. But say John Wayne. I don't know the bad things about John Wayne. To be honest, I don't even know many good things about John Wayne. I just know he was like a actor or cowboy of some sort. It's before my time. But the precedence that they're setting for John Wayne is, even though he did a bunch of good things, he did all these good things, he must have done something bad at one time, or he did do something bad. So that bad moment now defines John Wayne. And although he had millions of good moments, we need to tear down the John Wayne Airport and, name it something else because of that one bad moment. But the person that they're marching for, George Floyd, they say if you do what Candace Owens did and point out the many mistakes that he made, especially one where it involved a gun at a pregnant woman's stomach, if you bring that up, you're racist, you're an uncle, you're a horrible person, you're a fake black activist, you're a mean, spiteful, nasty person. So John Wayne is to be judged by his worst moment, but George Floyd, if you bring up his worst moment, you're a horrible person. So these are the types of people, and I'm not here to bring up George Floyd's past. It was never my intention. I just find it funny that with John Wayne, they're bringing up the one bad moment in his life and destroying 99.99% of the good things he did. But with George Floyd, it's the complete opposite. You can't bring that up. He's defined by his greatest moment or the worst moment of his life when he was killed. And that's the way they go. Rules for you, not for us. We're defined by our best moments. You're defined by your worst moments. Even if you didn't make a mistake, we're going to say you made a mistake. We're going to tear down the monuments. We're going to burn the flags. We're going to make Mississippi take down the flag. We're going to burn American flags. We're going to tear down all sorts of statues. Doesn't matter if it's a slave freeing statue. Doesn't matter if it's a black battalion. Doesn't matter if it's, the most harmless American ever. We're going to destroy everything and judge you by the worst moment that you may or may not have had. But how dare you ever try to bring up anything that we've done? We're just innocent protesters. We're just walking in the streets looking for justice. We're not shutting down traffic. We're not destroying small businesses. We're not burning, looting, and stealing. We're not breaking on private property. We're not screaming, "Eat the rich" in Beverly Hills. We're not hurting anybody. We don't do anything. There's no such thing as crime. 99.9% of crime, it doesn't exist. Chicago doesn't exist. LA, Baltimore, New York. Nothing else is real except for our little emotions of how we hate you so much, and you can't treat us like we treat you, and you can't be honest. So the point I want to get with the John Wayne Airport before I move on is they're judging him by his worst moment ever and destroying his history. But if you do that to their heroes, they'll call you racist. But that's just what they've been for a long time. We're going to get into that in a second. But, could these people get any more disgusting and fake and hypocritical and backwards? I don't know. I think they're running out of room. I can't think of the next, trajectory for McDonald's. They put their profile picture black. They have black trans rights matter, and they're not talking about the health of their product. Like, where do you go from there? I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying, where's the natural progression of where this goes? Can you go any further? Is there anywhere left for you to explore? We're going to talk about it at the end. Next thing I want to talk about before my last story, which is my favorite, I'm excited to talk about it, is the St. Louis couple. I don't know if you guys saw, they looked Italian or Jewish. To be honest, I don't know what they were, but they were just crushing it, so props to them. They came out and there were these protesters. According to the reports I read, I don't want to say for sure because there's so many conflicting narratives. I think people broke onto private property, seems likely. They've been doing it nonstop all over the place, and they act like they're just innocent victims. But they broke onto private property, and people came out. They got this massive, beautiful house, and the husband and wife came out with with a gun to protect their mansion. And they say, don't come here, or don't break onto my property. And first off, I want to say with the protesters, I just watched a video that somebody I know posted of them marching through Beverly Hills saying, "Eat the rich, eat the rich." I've watched them attack cop cars, attack people, just swarm, roads and get in the way and stuff. It's like the idea that they're just aimless, they're just such liars. But anyway, it's like in general, these people felt threatened. And the interesting part about it, besides the memes, memes are always fun, is the way somebody perceives it. There's like, we're living in two different realities right now. It's very unhealthy. We got half the country, or I don't want to go half and half, but you got a lot of people living in this world and a lot of people living in this world. Conservatives and gun owners and, people that are reasonable looked at that and said, wow, this is Americana. This is protecting your family, protecting your own, protecting your house, standing up to the mob, standing up to the people who are burning, looting, saying that they're peacefully protesting, breaking onto property, constantly shutting down traffic, coming into your space. I've watched dozens of videos of people swarming cars, standing in front of cars, people attacking the car, and then the car takes off, whether it's a police car or a regular car, and they go, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. And it's like, who raised you? My mom told me, look both ways when you cross the street. Don't cross the street. Don't block traffic. Never get in front of a car. Even if it's in a parking lot or you're in a crosswalk, don't walk in front of cars and pay attention, because cars could kill you. These morons, they go 40 by a car, they're harassing the car, and then the car takes off. They're, oh my God, I didn't think you'd hit me. What do you think? They're just going to let you beat them down, smash their windows in, and just harass them and scream at them? Of course you're going to get hit. It's like there's two different mindsets. The person who sees an event like that and says, yeah, you shouldn't be in front of a car. You shouldn't block a car. You shouldn't block traffic. You shouldn't allow 50 people to harass a car, or else you might get hit. And then there's the people who see that and say, oh my goodness, the racists they're going for the peaceful It's like, what world are they living in? It's not a world I want to live in. But it's the same with these, this lady and the guy in St. Louis. The conservatives and the gun owners looked at that and said, that's heroic. And then you had the left-wingers say, oh, these racists, they're doxing them, giving away their public address. These racists are trying to stop Black Lives Matter. It's like, no, they just don't want you to break into their house. How hard is that to understand? But it's like these two worlds are just so different, and I don't know what's going to bring it together. That's why I left. I'm like, you can have Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm going to be chilling, but let's put it lightly. Last thing I want to talk about is, where does progressivism go? Where does Marxism go? Where does woke culture, social justice, where does this end? And I listened to a podcast. I didn't even realize it was older, but it really puts things into perspective. And it really makes me trust Rogan and Weinstein less, because they're still like voting progressive. It doesn't even make sense. But anyway, they're talking about, there's a professor. He's pretty famous because he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast a lot. His name is Brett Weinstein. Brett Weinstein seems like a very nice guy. He was a teacher at Evergreen College. Evergreen College is one of the most progressive universities, if not the most progressive university in America. Why is it so progressive? My buddy told me about it too. They don't do normal classes. It's just like free for all, kind of like the teachers get to teach whatever, you get to learn whatever. It's a very progressive school. In ideology, it's really great. It's cool. You get to do whatever and you get to teach however. It's very free. But the problem with the school, and the reason I'm talking about this is exactly what's happening to the country, and this is exactly where the country's going, is if you pair that type of freedom and, excitement with progressive politics and progressive social justice, it's going to eat itself it's just going to eat itself. So Brett Weinstein complained. You could tell by his last name, he's Jewish, but he's a nice guy, whatever. They did a role reversal. Usually they have one day where all the people of color don't show up or something. They've been doing it for 10, 20 years. And then they decided to tell Brett Weinstein, they said, no, now the white people need to not show up. So they tried to force all the white people and white professors and white students to not go to class. And he was like ticked off at it, because he's like, I don't want you to force me not to teach. If I want to do it, I'll do it, but you can't make me do it. Anyway, they called him racist, this and that. He was explaining how everything went. They had white students doing favors for black students. The white women were now getting discriminated against because they were not, victimized enough. And listening to this podcast, it really just showed me where this country's going. Just like a progressive school, it's happening in Seattle, it's happening in Los Angeles, it's happening in New York City, it's happening in all these Democrat areas especially, but even in Republican areas it's slipping by, because their ideology is just a downward spiral. Why? You have to understand, I love everybody of every race, religion, gender, blah, 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 blah. You know, I understand that certain people have it harder in certain areas, and there is history, and I get all that. And I would love to make it right and make this country better, and there's a way to do that smartly. But what these people do is they actually want to do the opposite. They don't want to judge people by content of character. They want to oust you solely because of your skin color, and then they just push further and further and further and further and further until there's nowhere to push. And at the core of it, it's really just kids who need to be told, no, you're not that special. No, I'm not leaving. No. If a white woman's good for the job, then she gets it. If it's an Asian woman, let the Asian woman have it. It's like they want to attack people who are doing well and constantly just play this game, what some people call the oppression Olympics. It's not how good you are. It's not how smart you are. It's not how honest you are. It's not how helpful you are. It's not how happy you are. It's not your personality. It's not your character. It's not your spirit. It's not your mind. It's not your body. It's how much do I deserve it because I'm this skin color or this religion or this gender, and that makes me deserve it more than you because I've decided that I have more power over you in progressive land. And this is the way the whole country's going. And it didn't work out for Brett Weinstein. The reason I bring him up, nice guy, progressive, little Bernie type guy, he gets swallowed alive, and he's looking at the kids he taught there for 13 years. Hey, I've been so nice to you and loyal, and, you know, I've played your little games, and I love people of color, and I'll do anything for you. And they still called him a racist, and they still basically kicked him out and ran him off campus and threatened him, and he had to not show up to school. Crazy stuff. Super nice Jewish guy, super nice guy, professor. But that's what happens in this game. It's not a game. You're not rewarding people based on how good they are or nice they are. You're rewarding the worst people for being terrible, and you're not allowed to say anything about it because you've decided that you don't have power over them because of something that you couldn't even control, which is your ethnicity or your gender or your race. It's a hell. This whole country is going to become hell. It's not progressive. It's regressive. There's nothing less progressive than progressivism. Socially, politically, it's just socialism and communism. If you have a brain, you could figure out how governments will take advantage of that and destroy societies with that. And on a social level, it's just absolutely outlandish. It's like this game that they're going to play where it's like, Black Lives Matter. And then you're like, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. I agree with that. Like, they've been treated bad. And then they say, Black Trans Lives Matter. And you're like, Black trans lives matter. I mean, yeah, like I like black trans lives, I get. And then they like take it further. And then McDonald's is like, we're out here, you're killing us. The straight black man is. And then you're like, what? Like, where did it, like, so what's it really about? Is it about black lives? Is it about minorities? Is it about ending, systemic horrors that have happened in the past? No, it's about just going further and further and further and further and further with everything. So it's like with John Wayne, take away the airport, take away the statue, end, Paw Patrol. Cleveland can't do the voice of Cleveland. Jenna Marbles is crying hysterically because she made jokes about women 7 years ago, and they were funny, and now she feels bad because she didn't include every gender in her joke. It's like a never end. People are crying, losing their jobs, but it's never going to be enough. You're not helping them. You're not helping these people. You're not helping me. You're not helping the country. You're not helping minorities. You're not helping ethnic groups. You're just screwing up one of the greatest places in the world where people from Honduras would escape to. People from El Salvador would escape to. People from Mexico would escape to. People from Africa would come here. People from Asia would prefer here. People from Russia come here because they have more freedom than Russia. People from all over the world have come to America to make it a place where they could get ahead regardless of their skin color or gender, ethnicity. And now you're turning it into a place where you're discriminating against people based on ethnicity, based on gender. It's a failed ideology. And the people who don't want to say it, I know so many, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but, white progressive men where it's like they're afraid to say anything. Like, oh, that's not the law. And then it's like, they're going to come for you. You could be like Brett Weinstein, the most progressive, the most far left, catering to everybody's needs at Evergreen College, they're going to call you a racist. Why? Because their ideology is not about being accurate. It's about scapegoating and demonizing people specifically based on their race. It's about doing all of the horrors of the past that they claim that they hate onto other people. They don't have a spirit. They don't have integrity. They don't have honesty. They don't have a plan. They don't build. They're destroying everything. Colleges, cities, police forces. People say the police force is corrupt. It's true, but so is the whole country is becoming corrupt because we don't judge people by character anymore. We don't have goals to reach. You don't become great, whether you're a police force, an entrepreneur, a basketball player, or a chef. You don't become great unless you have high standards for yourself and the people you work with, and that's how you become great, is by saying, I won't accept this. But now in this country, it's like, I'm going to attack this, and if I'm here, I can't be fired because I'm going to, go to the union, or I'm going to play victim of some sort. So everything's declining. And the people who say, I'm reading, they're like, we need to end police brutality. For sure, I'm all about it. We need to end police brutality. What's wrong with that? We need to end police corruption. But can you end your own corruption? Oh, you can't? Then how can you expect they want the police to be perfect? How are the police going to be perfect when you're not perfect? Is Taco Bell perfect? Is Amazon perfect? Is black on black crime perfect? Is white on white murder perfect? Is there any group, that's doing 100% fantastically, that isn't self-sabotaging or murdering or, doing any sort of crime or degeneracy in any sort of... No, then how could you expect them? It's like, we want perfection from you, but not from us. We want you to do all the things for me, but I can't do it. John Wayne will be, demonized for the rest of history because of the mistakes he made. But if you dare bring up the mistakes of the person that we're marching for, we're going to call you a racist or a horrible person because he's not defined by his past mistakes of, doing a crime that put him in jail. But you're accountable for your past mistakes. It's like Looney World. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand. And this is the part that really creeps me out about Rogan. Joe Rogan knows this stuff. Brett Weinstein knows this stuff. They talked about it for 3 hours in 2017. They know what happens to progressive social and racial ideology. They eventually come for you and destroy the school. And it doesn't work at a certain point. They know this, and then they still vote for this stuff. They still feed into this ideology. Are they scared to say the truth? Are they afraid of being blacklisted? Are they afraid of being called racist? It doesn't matter because they're still going to call you that. Even simply existing is going to get you called racist because they're not looking for a real reason. They're not looking for the truth. They're not looking to to separate what is really racist and what is just me exaggerating. What's just me being a horrible person. Like every single thing under the sun is oppressive. These people will never stop. So people say, what do we do? Is by not being a part of it. And I think the mistake that a lot of conservatives have made over the last 2 years that I warned about, and nobody wanted to take it seriously because when times are good, they just assume they're going to win the election or whatever, and they're not going to get censored. But you can't let your side of the debate play into it. It's like Mississippi's taking their flag down. Is Mississippi taking the flag down going to stop racism? Did anybody even care about it 3 months ago? I've never once thought about it in my life. I don't think most people have. Probably 99% of people asking for it to get taken down didn't even know what it looked like a year ago. That's not going to end racism. Changing John Wayne Airport is not going to do anything. None of the stuff that they're planning on doing has any sort of solution-based. They're not solution-based people. They're vengeful and weak. It's like the equivalent to that to a city, the Evergreen College analysis to a city is Minneapolis or New York or Los Angeles, where you have a problem where there's multiple problems. First of all, there's way too much crime. There's way too many lootings, robbings. I mean, theft in Los Angeles has, from what I've seen, skyrocketed. I can't talk about statistics, but the city's gone to shit for years. It's horrible. I mean, you drive around, you feel like you're literally in hell. Go to a nicer area, and you're like, I can't even believe I lived there. I lived there for 7 years. It's disgusting. There's tents in every corner. There's trash in every corner. Nobody cleans up after themselves. Nobody cares. People are marching in the streets as businesses are foreclosing. 50% of businesses are going under. They don't even notice. People are getting robbed left and right. And then their solution, because one person did something wrong in Minneapolis, a Democrat city, is we need to defund the police, or we need to disband them, or we hate them. Then they should go home. Let them go home and see what happens. Are you going to have a utopia? Ice Cube's complaining about it. All these rappers are complaining about it. You think with no police officers, it's going to be a utopia? Are you really that fake and dishonest that you believe that? I never liked the police growing up. I always disliked the police, had bad run-ins with the police. I've had more bad interactions with police officers than I've had good interactions. So I wish I had all these great stories to say about police. I really don't. I'm not a big police fan. I'm not anti-police either, but I'm not a big police guy, just to be quite frank, like other conservatives. However, never in my dumbest form of being a stoner or a rapper did I ever think, oh, let's get rid of the police completely and then like the world would be a utopia. I've never been that fake, even in my dumbest stage. Are people really that fake where they say disband the police, get rid of the police, just because they're too fake to look at a crime statistic sheet? They think it's microaggression against them. You're like, here's the 2019 FBI statistics of crime. Oh, microaggression. Oh, how dare you put facts in? I just want to feel away. All the decent people are fleeing the cities. Minneapolis, New York, Los Angeles. Millions of people are looking to leave. Who's going to stay? The degenerates who think that's a good idea. The hipster, narcissist liberals who are like so wealthy that they don't even see it. They're until they get Me Too'd or something. Oh, me? I didn't know, not me. I've been a good boy for 10 years. It doesn't matter. You're breeding evil. You're breeding evil thoughts and evil people, and you're fueling the wicked that everybody has in them in a small form and making it bigger and bigger and bigger because you won't say no. You won't stop crime. You enable crime. You won't charge people. You let them out of jail. You don't want to figure out what's going on in your streets. You just want to blame the police. 3 people die every day in Los Angeles County from homelessness alone. I just want to use statistics real quick. Police could be less corrupt, okay? 100%. Like I said, I'm not a big police fan. But if you do the math, 3 people die every day in Los Angeles from homelessness. In a week, times 7, that's 21 people in a week. More people die from homelessness in Los Angeles County. More homeless people die in Los Angeles County in 1 week than police in the United States kill unarmed black people in the whole country in the whole year. In 1 week, in 1 county, you have more death from homelessness than you have in the entire year of this perceived massive problem that is plaguing our nation. This is what you get. You're going to get Sodom and Gomorrah. Fallen cities, fallen people, just grime. It's just going to get dirtier and dirty because you won't clean it up. You won't look at 99.99% of crime. I'd look at it and be like, yeah, police brutality's wrong, racism's wrong, systemic racism's wrong, but also looting's wrong, robbing's wrong, murder's wrong, stealing cars is wrong. Like everything wrong is wrong. But you just hone in on the smallest bit and act like it's the biggest bit. And then the biggest bit, you act like it's not even real. It is real. So you're going to figure it out one way or another. So I don't know at what point these people are going to stop, but there's no way the cities are going to thrive at this rate. And the amount of people who literally think that disbanding police is going to like create a utopia, like they've lied to themselves so much. They're so brainwashed with mass media, false culture, and just degeneracy that they literally think no police would equal some sort of like great world. We're like, oh man, the streets are clean, the crime is gone. I mean, all it was the police all along. It's like, who really thinks that? It's just bizarre. It's the same people who stand in front of a car while 50 of their friends are beating on the hood, and then they get hit by the car because they're literally sitting on someone else's car when they're trying to drive away, and they can't drive away. They're getting harassed, and they get hit. And then they say, I can't believe I got hit. I just got hit out of nowhere. I mean, why would they do that to me? I mean, I was just protesting peacefully. Like, what type of person is this? It's ridiculous. So overall, those are the stories. I'm going to answer a few questions and roll out. Gilead drug, John Wayne Airport, St. Louis couple, Evergreen Brett Weinstein situation, and the future of progressive America. That's it for today, folks. Scroll back if you want to hear the rest, and I'm going to answer some more questions. Someone said they don't believe there will be a utopia, they want chaos. Well, at the core of it, a wise man once said, change yourself to change the world. If you could change yourself internally, spiritually, physically, mentally, get to a better place inside, a lot of the world is perception. You can have one person look and be like, that's a beautiful sunset, and the next person could be like, it's too hot, I want to go inside. So a lot of earth is perception. It really is. So a lot of these people are just wicked people. They have massive issues. They are very damaged, and maybe they just didn't work on themselves, or have some sort of issue, whatever. But they're projecting that onto the world, and they're just smashing everything down. And I don't know, some of them maybe think it's going to create a better society. Some of them are just scapegoating their problems onto other people. Either way, who cares? Stop them. It's like at a certain point, they need to be stopped. What do I think about the polls? I never believe the polls, but I don't think Trump is doing that well, though. I mean, obviously, he's Trump. He's going to have a shot. But I think the polls are a little off, but it's not been a good year for Trump. I mean, it's not his fault per se, but I don't think it's that good at this moment. I think he's got a lot of work to do these next couple months, but it's a crapshoot. I think at this point, the mail-in ballots, how much they're going to police that, how much they catch on to it, how many new people register and vote, we'll see. Someone said Russell Brand has a cool perception on things. Yeah, I'm not a fan of his politics, but he's like a quirky guy, He seems like he has fun, so at least he's a little upbeat. All right, so I'm just switching my... Someone said we need to have zero tolerance for crime and then things will get better. Yeah, and we need to have zero tolerance for crime on every level. I mean, the elites get away with more than murder. Politicians get away with a lot. And then people say police get away with stuff. But also, in a lot of these cities, they're not enforcing the law at all. So it's not going to, it's too easy for people to do stuff. George said Mitch McConnell's district is the biggest welfare area in the state of Kentucky, so just think it's a Democrat problem. Yeah, no, I'm sure there's some rundown Republican areas as well. I just think that Democrats don't want to enforce the law. Like, they're anti-law and order, like Trump says. But in certain areas with like poverty and stuff, and it's a tough fix. It would need to be a multi-layered problem. You can't just, like you said, there's a lot of welfare. You have to have a strategic plan to get people to work and get people off the streets. And at a certain point, some people just aren't going to want to put in the work. So, there's better things that could be done. But at a certain point, I'd have to look at his district and see what's going on to tell you what I thought about it. Someone said U.S. Postal Service is endorsing Biden to assist in ballot fraud. Guys, yeah, anybody who thinks Trump is a lock in this election is just way too confident, but it's all good. Yeah, the polls don't matter, but at the same time, it's not looking that hot right now. But you could think it is. It's okay. A lot of things will change. Every month is going to be like a year, so 4 months is a lot of time. There's going to be 3 debates. There's going to be all sorts of drama and stuff. So, these polls are not locked in at all. I just don't think this year was good for Trump. I mean, how could this year be good for Trump? His economy was good, got destroyed. There's chaos. It's It went from being smooth and non-chaotic to like very not smooth and chaotic. That's not good for the incumbent, whether you want to say it is or not. Christopher said, "You're reading too much conspiracy, dude." Just to be clear, what part of what I said do you think was conspiracy? The word conspiracy just means a bunch of people working together to do things that are not favorable. So it's a smear word like the word racist. That tree's racist, toilet paper's racist. You're overusing the word. The word conspiracy means a group of people doing something together that isn't great. So do you think people ever work together to do things that are not great? That's what a conspiracy is. I mean, people who don't think get manipulated. So I see what they're doing. I know, like, I told people 2 months ago why they were pushing the Gilead drug instead of hydroxychloroquine. I don't need to wait till it comes out. Now it came out, and I still know why. But it's like, it's not a conspiracy. If you don't think, you just get worked around. Like, the people who think it's a conspiracy theory are marching in the streets for the world elites, doing things that they don't even know why they're out there. I want to end brutality in the police force. How? How are you going to do that? Do you have a plan? Can you do that? Can you stop other people from doing it? Can you stop yourself from doing it? What do you even mean? What part of what I said is a conspiracy? It's like people are going to have to wait until it's like hell on earth, and they're just going to be like, oh, it's not really like that. It's like, what part of what's going on do you not understand? It's like the word, literally, if you Google, I don't have my computer, but if you look up the word conspiracy, it means more than one people, a group of people doing something. What do you think they do? What are lobbyists? Why do you think politics, like, how, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you dumb, my brother, but like, how dumb are some people? Like, what do you think politics is? Do you think they're just doing terrible things all the time because they made a mistake, or it's just spontaneous? No, they're getting money to do it. Who funds politicians? The military-industrial complex, big business in war, big pharma, many other people, foreign countries and such. They get money to do other people's bidding. That's a conspiracy. That's literally what the word means. The whole world is operating in that fashion. Nobody's just doing what you think they're doing. Like, you think they're just like, oh, I didn't even know I shut down the whole world for 4 months. Like, I just did it by mistake. Like, do you really think they would destroy the entire world's economy, put like 50% of businesses out and not even know they did it? Like, it was just like, oh, it just happened and I didn't even think it through. Like, anybody who thinks it through is a conspiracy guy. Like, it's just like embarrassing. Like, what part of anything do you not understand? Like, why do certain people, I don't know, like, what's a commercial? They're selling you products. What are they trying to do? They're trying to sell you their products. So that's literally what they're doing. No, McDonald's would never sell me a bad product. I mean, that's a conspiracy theory. They just want me to eat their salad. They don't even know what quality meat they have. They thought they were selling prime rib for 10 years. They just figured out it wasn't Wagyu beef. I mean, they just made a mistake. The pharmacy commercials, they give you all the warnings for your benefit. They want you to know that you could get 50,000 different types of illnesses from the pill. They do that because they're your friend. They don't want you to get sick. It's not because they have to legally do that or else you could sue them, so they have to put it in the commercial or else they'd be liable for lawsuit. That's not why. That's the conspiracy theory. They do it because they love you. They're not just making billions of dollars off of your demise. They would never do that. I mean, life expectancy is not going backwards. I mean, no crime doesn't even exist. I mean, disband the police. I mean, anybody who disagrees with me is a conspiracy theory. It's like such low-level thinking. Stephen said people have conspired since the beginning of time. Everything's a conspiracy. Like, every tribe, Indians, Christopher Columbus, America, Russia, Democrats, Republicans, like pharmacy industry. By definition, everything is pretty much that. If you think they're doing something wrong, I think. If they're doing something amazing, then you can call them a group of heroes. They're here to save the day. They just want to feed us, the best food possible. If you don't think, they think for you. If you don't go the distance to try to figure out what's going on, they're going to do it for you. Like, people just walk around, watch movies. They're like, Black Panther, yay, Black Panther. It's a show for me. Guys, the CIA tweeted about Black Panther like 10 times. Why are they so interested in Black Panther? Who wrote the script? What do they want? Like, it's not like, oh, they just put out a black superhero movie for me because I'm a special boy. No, like, they know it's going to be the biggest blockbuster movie, so they make sure it says what they want it to say, and you come out of it thinking what they want you to think. It's that easy, guys. It's that easy. If I'm writing a script like Avatar, I can make you think a certain way. You come out of the movie and you're crying. I wrote the plot. You're living in my world. It's my movie. You just think it's random. You're like, man, the Avatar saved the day, and now I want to save the environment. You feel that way because I made you feel that way, because I put music, and I put actors, and I wrote the script, and I made animation, and I wrote the plot, and I made sure you thought that person was bad and that person was good, and then the music hit in, and then you cried, and then you felt really emotional. I made you feel that way. The people who write the script, it's like, that's a conspiracy. What do you think they're doing? The inventor of television didn't even want his own son to watch television. It was never just to give you what you want. Guys, any evil genius, like, look at World War I, World War II. Look at the Bolshevik Revolution. They're killing millions of people. This really happened. And then they just give you a television. And you're just like, oh, well, I'm sure that no one would ever hurt me again. I mean, the bad guy was just the Hitler. After Hitler, everything just was amazing, and no one ever thought bad again. There's no such conspiracies in the world. Who taught you this stuff? Like, who lied to you and told you that that's how the world works? Like, that's going to end you up in a bad situation. Someone said, I never saw it. Yeah, don't watch their movies. They're mostly all propaganda. And the ones that aren't, you'll know because they're backlash. Even the Joker movie. I didn't watch the Joker movie, but what was the Joker movie? It made the right wing, the far right wing, feel vindicated in their little evilness. I'm not saying they're evil, but you know what I'm saying? Like, F the world. And then it made the Antifa and the left wing to be like, yeah, F the world. It was showing you the villain as the hero. That's what Joker was. It was showing you the villain. He's not such a bad guy. He's justified in his evil. Why do you think they did that right before the shutdown? You think that was just random? Maybe, yeah. They just put out the Joker movie to show you the... And then, they just made everybody dress like a bandit right before they had mass protests and riots. What are the chances of the biggest riots in modern history happening when the government is forcing you to cover your face up? Ooh, don't think too much, Anomaly. You're going to hurt my feelings. How dare you conspire, Anomaly? They would never do that. I mean, they just wanted me to not cough on the next person. So they dressed me up like a bandit and then told me to go in the street. And then Seth Rogen bailed me out of jail. Need my water. Bridges said, why do black Americans refuse to acknowledge black-on black crime? Well, it's not true. I mean, there's a lot of black conservatives that acknowledge it and even some black liberals, but I don't know. I guess it's trendy to just look at like 1% of the crime and ignore 99% of it or something. I don't know. I don't understand how these people think in general, like the left-wing ideology. I don't understand it. I watched a video on Twitter yesterday, and it was a white guy. A white guy was killed by a black police officer. And I watched it, and I didn't want to burn anything. I didn't want to loot. I didn't want to scream. I didn't blame an entire race. I didn't want to blame the cops. I almost didn't care because I was like, that guy resisted arrest. It's not smart to do that. But, at the same time, I was compassionate. I was like, yeah, that sucks. But I don't know. It never made me want to just burn down a Starbucks or, a small business. But I don't know. To each their own. I don't understand how people think. I think about the big picture. I think about the hundreds of thousands of people, eating their products, drinking their drinks, getting heart disease, stroke, diabetes, all avoidable, And I'm like, how could we really make this country better? And they just think, well, what if I just ignored 90% of crime, put a microscope on 0.1% of it, and just screamed at everybody and was the evil person that I claimed I was going to fight? And wouldn't that make the world better? And then they just like feel good about it or something. I don't know how. I can't tell you. I don't operate like that. There's many questions to be had. Debbie said, "Common sense. Don't put yourself in those situations." Debbie, you don't want to tell people to have self accountability because they'll get very upset. Because, of course, don't put yourself in those situations, and 99.9% of things won't happen to you. But if you just mess up and you 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 just keep being a degenerate person, and then something bad happens on the 10th time, everyone's going to be like, oh my goodness, it's all the other person's fault. There's nothing possibly done. You were the greatest person of all time. And it's like, we're just supposed to pretend like that's the case. And then a bunch of Marxists come in and they say, yeah, everyone, your life matters. Now you should think about communism and abandon this and free healthcare and the government schools. And you're like, and then you're supposed to just like agree and then post the square. And then like, I'm just supposed to sit there and be like, oh yeah, I wish I could just like give myself a Men in Black and just make myself dumber so I could like participate in this tomfoolery. But unfortunately, I just see it all, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works, but I mean, good luck. And the narrative they're trying to push is so rare that they can't even do it properly, like ever. Like once every 5 years, they do it semi-properly, but like, it's such a small percentage that every time they try to do it, it ends up being like the opposite story, and they just cover it up, or like, they have to do like a Jussie Smollett, Bubba Watson sort of thing or whatever, Bubba Wallace. Like they want so bad this to be real, and they do it like once every 2 years, and it's so not that real that every time they're either lying or totally exaggerating about what happened, or the person that they finally found that could get their narrative across has a history that you shouldn't look at. But John Wayne has a history you should look at, and he's going to be defined by his bad moments, but not our heroes. Your heroes are going to be defined by their bad moments. Our heroes, we're just going to make up a whole new life that they never even had. These people are just out of control. Someone said, what about the slavery today? The sex trade needs to be addressed. Well, unfortunately, most likely, the people at the top who are involved in some of the most wicked slavery and war that this world has seen in the recent years, they're the ones that are running all these morons in the streets. So they'll never get to the slavery, they'll never get to the evil, because they're just running in the streets, just smashing businesses and like standing on cop cars for those people to make sure that no one ever gets to the slavery that's happening in Libya, or the sex trafficking and human trafficking that's very real. Multi-billion-dollar industry. Even Google says it. It's been on Dr. Phil. Ashton Kutcher talks about it. It's very mainstream, but don't even think about that, because can't possibly be real. What's real is me smashing windows in an auto zone, because these people are disgraceful. It's a lot of sick stuff going on that we can't get to the bottom of. Raven said, this is why some people are afraid to speak up, because of their own history. Everyone's made mistakes. Everybody's done something in 2010 that's now deemed, wrong think or whatever, group think. So you can't be afraid. They're never going to stop. Even if you're nice to them, unless you're perfect. I don't know. I was 20 and 21 and 22. Even now, it's like, I don't know. I'm not particularly sorry for, like, I didn't do anything like outlandishly horrible, but like, you can cherry pick anyone's life and find some tweet or something they said or something they did. Or in some cases, they just make something up that never even happened. How many times have you met up with somebody and they just say something to their friend and gossip to you? Imagine if you're Justin Bieber, you're really famous. You've met thousands of people. You've probably hung out with hundreds of women. And, all it takes is one to just say anything about you. And then it's like the gospel. It's like, oh my goodness, that's got to be true. It's like I've had women lie about me and I'm not even famous. Not like in a big way, but like I would hang out with, and then they tell me the opposite story to and I'm like, that really didn't happen, right? And they're like, no, that's what happened. And they're like, no, I know that didn't happen. And it's like, I don't know. Some people just don't tell the truth. I don't know. I've had a guy, this was years ago, when I had a studio apartment, terrible apartment, bed bugs. Not one of the worst places I've ever lived. I had a kid lie on Facebook and say, Anomaly is this rich kid who I dropped him off at his luxury apartment when I met this guy one time. He was a friend of a friend. He didn't drop me off. I never got in his car. He never saw where I lived. I walked home because I got a weird feeling about him. And I didn't live in a luxury apartment. I lived in a studio apartment that was horrible. And he literally wrote this whole post that said, he lives in this luxury mansion apartment and he's a Trump. So he hates Trump so much that he was willing to make up a whole other story that was never even real, that involved me getting in his car, that literally never happened, and dropping me off at a place that I never lived at. This is how some people operate, and that's what they'll do to you. It's like they don't even need a real story. God forbid you actually did do something off color, like Jenna Marbles, like, oh, I made fun of Nicki Minaj, I'm so sorry. It's like, woman, stop caving to these people. What are you sorry about? Being funny and successful? The people who hate you, they hate Jenna Marbles. She's one of the biggest YouTubers ever. They hate her because she's funny and successful. They'll never be funny and successful. That's why they hate you. They don't hate you because you made a joke and didn't include like the LGBT community. That's not what a joke is about. You're allowed to make jokes about women and men, and you're allowed to leave them out, and sometimes you're allowed to bring them in and make fun of them. That's just what a joke is. And if it's funny, it's funny. And if it's not, get back to the drawing board because you might tick some people off. Like, it's such a joke. Zach said the truth is like poetry and most people hate poetry. Someone said people always try to make others look bad in order to look good. Some people they need to change themselves, but they're constantly just scapegoating everybody else. And you can't, the ideology is you can't, I'm trying to get this through to like my progressive friends, because listen, we can talk about healthcare. You should know at this point that the government should not have that much power. But anyway, if you can't figure that out, whatever. You think you're going to get it. You got to figure out there's no way to please these people. I'll give you an example. There's a meme that says this, but in general, I saw it recently. If you didn't protest and you're white, they say, how dare you not protest because you're white? Use your white privilege to protest for Black Lives Matter. So if you don't protest, you're racist. If you don't post a black square, you're racist. If you don't use your voice, you're racist. But then, if you do protest and you make it about you, now they're writing New York Times articles saying, oh, most of the protesters are white. They're making it about them, which is true. And then, oh, you're talking. Why don't you give black voices a turn? It's like you can't please these people. If you don't do it, they're going to call you racist. If you do it, they're going to call you racist. On the flip side, if you stay somewhere, it's gentrification. If you leave, they say it's white flight. So if you stay, you're doing it. If you leave, they're not operating in reality. They're always going to blame you because they have a target on your back because of your skin color. They don't want equality. They don't want justice. They don't want an equal world where people are judged based on their skill set or their content of character or what they bring to the table. They don't want that. So you're never going to get that. So it doesn't matter what your past is. Doesn't matter what your future is. Doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. It doesn't matter how much you help. Doesn't matter how much you really bought into it. If you're a black man and you're straight and like not brainwashed, your time is coming too. It's like, you're black, yeah, Black Lives Matter. And then they turn and they're like, Black trans lives matter. And you're like, you could be black and be like, yeah, I don't know, I have a wife and a family. And they're like, how disgusting, how dare you. Like, these people never stop. It's like they hate strong black men. So that should just tell you what the movement is anyway. It turned into Black Lives Matter to LGBTQ trans lives matter. And then they're like, is this the movement that Black America asked for? I have no problem with it, but if you polled Black America and you put a checklist of what Black America wanted, would they vote for what Black Lives Matter does? Probably not. I would think the average black family is not as concerned with like trans black lives as Black Lives Matters, which is fine, but it's like, do they represent everybody? I don't think so, but you know, whatever. All right, I'm going to stay for 5 more minutes and then I got to go. Tomorrow I'm getting internet and then I'm trying to build a whole studio. You'll see. I'm trying to get I don't know if I'll get a camera, but I'm getting a desk. My back always hurts. I'm trying to get a desk that goes up and down. I'm trying to get a chair. I mean, I got this chair, but I'm trying to just set up a nice spot so I don't have to always bounce around. It's a good time. Someone said, you can't trust somebody who says if you don't give us what we want, we'll burn it down. Here's the thing, though. What they want is not necessarily a feasible thing. For instance, I want no murder in America. Me. That's what I want. I want no crime. That's what I would love. No crime. No looting, no stealing, no murder, no anything. But that's not realistic. I can't stop everybody from making mistakes. So what do they want? Police reform. Okay, well, Trump's trying to do police reform. What type of, and Senator Scott's trying to do police reform. What type of police reform do you guys want? Defund the police. Okay, we could abolish the police. Abolish, I guess to abolish the police. What do they want? End police brutality. Okay, can you say I want to end black brutality? End white brutality? I want to end football injuries. I want to end skydiving incidents. I want, no bullies to beat each other up on the playground. Everybody wants that, but can you stop it completely? Can you stop crime in your own neighborhood? No. Can you stop white people from fighting with white people? No. Can you stop road rage incidents? No. Can you stop alcoholics from fighting each other at the bar? Then how in the world would you be able to stop anything wrong from happening in a police force if you can't do it in any other aspect of life? It's not possible. So they're going to burn things down because their goals don't make sense. If they accomplish them, their goals are burn it down, abolish the police. Minneapolis with no police force, that's going to hurt the inner cities the most. It's going to hurt the good people that would like police presence there because they're afraid of criminals. Like, there are good people that know that crime exists and they are not pumped about it and they feel safer when a cop is around. And then there's some people who don't want the cops around, but you're going to get rid of all the cops? Their goals don't make sense, so they're gonna burn it down. They're marching through Beverly Hills, eat the rich. In a way, when they went to Bezos's house, Bezos is a big promoter of this left-wing ideology. So then his little minions turn against him. You hate to see it, It's like, he's like Washington Post, and then they're like, eat the rich, and he's like, oh shoot, not my house, and you're like, bro, what did you think was gonna happen? I mean, it's ridiculous. Someone say you really have to talk to young Pharaoh. I tried to hit him up on Instagram. He didn't answer. Well, he did answer, but then he got busy. But I'm trying to have an Instagram live with Young Pharaoh. That's a conversation for the world, for sure. Young Pharaoh is on point. I like that guy. On Angela Stanton King recently, who's wonderful. If you're in Georgia, check out Angela Stanton King. She's running for Congress of some sort. She's way better than whatever else they're doing there, so check her out. So it's the first thing that happened when a shooting happened, they called the police? Yeah, of course, of course. Thank you, Kim, I appreciate it. Someone said, do we have another Republican we can rally around if Trump isn't bringing it? No. I don't believe that report that Trump is dropping out. Trump is all you have, the Republicans have. There's no one else in the Republican Party. Everyone else sucks. So if Trump's not doing well, there's no one else that's going to do well. I don't want to be a hater, but I don't really like any Republican besides Rand Paul and a few others. Yeah, you don't want to get rid of Trump. I mean, who else is going to do anything there? He's just got to have a good 4 months, good ads, good debates, he needs to, I don't know what he needs to do. He's trying. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for Trump. I think he's trying, but it's like, he's like tweeting pictures of the vandals and stuff. That's the most he can do, though. I appreciate his effort, but he needs some help. Someone said Angela Stanton obliterated Black Breakfast Club. Yeah, she's a smart black woman, and the Breakfast Club are a bunch of pseudo-intellectual, cultured, snobby, phonies. I like Charlemagne sometimes, but the rap echo chamber is just getting so dumb. Rap was not always that dumb. There's so many intellectuals in rap, but Angela Stanton King just went, and I didn't see the full thing, but I'm sure she crushed him because she's smart, she knows how to talk, and she's not, I'm not trying to, I don't want to say this wrong, but like a lot of black conservatives, they appeal more to the white demographic, and it's all love, it's all love, but like a lot of black conservatives wouldn't know how to handle themselves in a Breakfast Club interview because it's more urban, it's more, it's more like core. They're like, Angela King has some street in her. She's smart, she's been to jail, but also she knows how to talk. Like, she's a real player. I think I watched her with Young Pharaoh. I'm bullish on Angela Stanton. I think she's a top voice right now. And in Congress, she could really go hard. She knows how to get both sides. And that's what conservatives really need, is the culture. Nobody respects conservative ideology in rap culture, really. Nobody respects conservative ideology in pop culture. And it's not just because liberals, it's because conservatives just don't know how to do it for so long. Before Trump is like the craziest thing that conservatives have done ever. And then you have Candace Owens, you have Kanye West, and people are just starting to have an awakening, and it's slowly getting there. But more of what Angela's doing, and more of like getting to the Breakfast Club and things like that, and really letting the audience know. Because the audience is not always dumb, but some of their content, like I used to listen to Rosenberg and the radio, Paul Rosenberg, Peter Rosenberg, and Cypher Sounds and Ebro in the morning. They're more on the East Coast, and they just went so far left. And it's like all liberal echo chamber stuff, and it's just like so dumb. I used to like Ebro, but he's like insufferable. And they're so justified in. So more Angela Stanton King stuff where it's like, bam, hit them with some realness and they don't know what to do. So the Hodge Quins are cool. Everyone plays a part. Everybody's humor, like Terrence, Hodge, Candace, and everybody reaches a different type of person. Some people like comedy. Some people like to hear things a certain way. Other people respond to other things a certain way. So everyone has to play their part. You know, it's not going to just be one person that gets out to people. And certain people like me, but they don't like them. Certain people like them, they don't like me. So everybody's got to just, you know, it's got to be like a branch effect where everybody starts popping up and reaching all different types of people until more people feel confident to, you know, stand up against the mob. And I'm going to leave in a second, but you have to, because these people are never going to stop. Like I said earlier, the progressive social ideology, unfortunately, it's not what they think. Even if you play into it forever, they're still going to come for you, which is why I don't understand why Republicans are doing it, because they never get credit and they just keep going further left. I'm going to read the super chat real quick before I leave. John said, I watched the entire Breakfast Club interview with Angela. She held her own. Every time she's winning an argument, they change the subject or gang up on her. Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about there. Like Ebro and Rosenberg and like the, you know, what is it, Charlemagne and that, like, it's surface stuff. I'm sure she crushed it, and they probably just try to be like, oh, racist, oh, border, like just basic stuff. I'm going to watch the whole interview, though, but I'm glad Angela, you know, she's crushing. I did a panel with her and Brandon one time, Straka, and her story was fantastic, and I just remembered that. And now I see her on all the interviews, and she's running for Congress. I was like, she's got some pep in her step. I like her. God bless you guys. God bless your family. Sorry, this was a little bootleg today because I'm still getting stuff set up, but I just wanted to take a second. Hold on, I dropped my cap. I just wanted to take a second and let you guys know I'm working on building a new studio, getting new internet, and getting some slick, sleek content out to the masses within the next year. I appreciate your support, not just with the superstar chats or whatever they're called, but in general, watching videos, sharing videos. It's been a phenomenal year, and I'm very, very grateful to be able to take the next step in my career or life in general. And you know, I remember when I moved to my last place, I went from a studio to a small one-bedroom, and I barely had the money at the time. I really almost didn't. But I wanted to take a step because I was like, I need a little more space. I'm going to set up stuff. And that's where a lot of my stuff really took off. And I've worked very, very hard. I had 2 jobs, did this. So now I'm focused on this. I'm trying to bring in the right business without selling out, but doing something that's sustainable. Because if I just do this, right now Facebook is very good to me, but Facebook, Twitch, Reddit, they're all just slowly caving. So I almost have to assume that this is going to cave in on me. I hope it doesn't, and it's going great, but I want to be able to establish the right business around that. If something goes down or wrong, that I'm able to do something in the place. I just saw a supporter say I'm doing great, thank you, but supporters, I'm going to make a supporter video tomorrow, and we'll do a live stream within the next week or 2. I promised as soon as I moved, I'd do a live stream, and I finally moved. It's been a process. I still have a few errands to run. I mean, I have to get a bed, all sorts of stuff, so it's going to be a crazy. You can't even see, I just have stuff all over the place. I just moved. So I got a lot of work to do, but we'll do a supporters live only. Thank you guys for the love, and we'll get it cracking this year. We'll just keep raising the bar. Appreciate y'all. I'll be back.